And this morning on the show, we are discussing soft skills and hard skills. What is the difference and striking the balance? And we have in our studio this morning with us Ibukunoluwa Adebayo, who is a seasoned global business strategist and product leader with a strong academic foundation. He holds a master's in diversity management from the University of Leeds, an MBA in international business practice from St. Mary's University, and a bachelor's degree in industrial relations and human resources management from Covenant University. Ibukunoluwa's expertise lies in people management, where he combines theoretical knowledge with practical solutions. He is known for leading organizations through complex transformations, implementing lean HR solutions, process improvements, and innovative technologies to drive growth and profitability on a global scale. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning, Ade. Thank you for having me here on your program.
Yeah, I mean, like the time difference from where you're calling us from this morning is actually a lot, and we really do appreciate you taking the time out to answer some of our questions on this topic.
My pleasure.
All right, let's dive straight into the conversation. Now, how would you define soft skills and hard skills, and what's your take on one being more relevant than the other, as it has been popularly debated?
Right. Well, preparing for the program, I really did try to, research and really, come up with a good definition, right?
Right.
But while I would define it in the way the researchers have, I don't necessarily agree, and we'll probably get to discussing that a little bit more.
Okay.
But hard skills have been defined as, skills that you learn through hands-on experience or education. So they are more measurable. They are skills that are, think about it like hands to keyboard, right?
Right. Yeah.
For example, coding,
So more technical
development,
skills, probably.
coding. Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
And soft skills are more, have been defined as personal traits, skills that are more hard to measure,
Right.
right? So they're more interpersonal skills. You likely see them come to play more in a relationship quasi relationship between two people or between a person and an organization, right? And so in terms of like, debates of which is more important,
Right.
that effectively forms the foundation of my disagreement, because I don't think there's anything such as more important. And modern day researchers are starting to talk about soft skills as durable skills. So they no longer want to call them soft skills, because I believe that has kind of created a perception of making them unimportant or less important, right?
Right.
And that's why you see people prioritizing more hard skills over soft skills. But in truth, in practice, you need a fine interaction between both to be successful, right? There's no job that you're doing that you don't require some level of time management, which is an example of a soft skill or a durable skill, or communication, or emotional intelligence, or
Right.
decision making. Those are examples of soft skills or
Yeah.
durable skills, right? And so it comes to be like, when you say, okay, would you rather spend $1,000 on building knowledge in, say, user interface design, versus spending $1,000 on going to Harvard, taking a Harvard leadership course, for example, right? Which of those investments would probably put you or set you aside in a conversation to be promoted to a managerial position, for example? You would rather say the durable skill, right, which is the leadership investment, versus the user interface design, because as a manager, you hardly ever put hand to keyboard to design an interface. Instead, you have to manage folks who do that. And so how do you characterize which is more important in that conversation?
Very interesting. All right, let's talk about the hiring process very quickly. Now, as a
Yeah.
HR professional, are there specific soft skills that you look out for when evaluating job candidates? And as in the hiring process, talking about the hiring process as well. Now, you've established that you don't believe there is one that is more relevant than the other. But how do you weigh one against the other in the hiring process?
Well, in the hiring process, a lot of things come to play in that moment, right?
Right.
There's the role you're hiring for example, what position in the organization is that role as well. Like I used an example for a manager, I would prioritize managerial or leadership skills over actual technical skills. Of course, in shortlisting qualified candidates, I would use the technical skills as a benchmark, right, for creating a pool of qualified candidates. But then when I want to start to interview or assess these candidates against, specific requirements, I'll prioritize the managerial or, leadership skills. As a matter of fact, durable skills over technical skills. Now, why do I say that? Is that technical skills gets you a foot in the door, right? But in a conversation, you're more, I mean, in an interview rather, you're more, you should be more focused on assessing which of these technically qualified candidates can be a good leader, right? Because the role you're hiring for is a leadership role.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if I was hiring for like a head of engineering or a core engineering role, say a senior developer, for example, I will still prioritize some durable skills or some soft skills, right? Because I want to know that my software engineer can work within a team, has the ability to work within a team. Teamwork is an example of durable skills. Work ethic. Do they have the right work ethic to be successful on the kind of team that I'm trying to build? Do they have problem solving skills? Are they adaptable? Do they show critical thinking? Now, while none of these skills can be technically measured, right? You can't go to school to study decision making, for
Yeah.
example, right? But they are important um, requirements to prioritize when I'm hiring an employee, whether I'm hiring an executive assistant
Right.
or I'm hiring a CEO. I need to know that they can make decisions, that I don't have to help my executive assistant make decisions, right?
Right. Exactly.
So you have to, as a recruiter, I'm not only always focusing on the technical skills, even though, like I said, the technical skills form a benchmark and it's always dependent on the kind of role and the level I mean, level within the organization that that role is.
So is it very contextual to the position that is actually being advertised by the organization in question, essentially, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
every hiring requisition it comes with its own special requirements, right?
Okay.
So
Okay. Now
the
let's
JD will always characterize it, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk to some of the applicants now. Now we've seen in some cases where now I'm really glad that you brought up the distinction between technical skills and managerial skills, which is where leadership skills, which is where soft skills is essentially benchmarked on. Now let's say for instance a tech bro, very technical person trying to advance in their career and they're trying to apply for a managerial position. Now many times job applicants often include soft skills on their resumes without grasping their significance just to secure the job. A perfect example is someone who claims to possess the ability of multitasking on their resume but fails when you put it to test. So how can individuals identify, evaluate, and effectively showcase their soft skills on their resumes? And is there a recommended approach for you, a person, to go about this?
Well, I'll start off by saying it's not necessary to put durable skills on your
Okay.
resume,
Okay.
right? I'd rather say you can describe those skills in practice in the body of previous experiences, of roles that you have had previous experiences in.
Right.
So if you have a skills section in your resume, I would say focus that skills section on highlighting the technical skills that you have, softwares that you have worked with, you know, policies or programs or frameworks that you're familiar with, right?
Right.
Languages that you can write code in. Focus that area to highlight the special skills, like the technical skills that would help you cross that benchmark. Because when I'm putting code keywords into my ATS, I'm not putting teamwork or leadership or all of that for skills. Instead, I'm putting it to look, I'm asking my ATS to look for those words in the body of your work experience, description. So if
Right.
you have worked on a team, tell me you worked on a team in, say, ABC company, worked on a team delivering, XYZ projects. Then I know that you have two skills that I can be interested in is that
Right.
you have experience working on a team and you have had experience delivering projects, right? Or explain to me in a sentence within your previous work experience how you have multitasked or how you have shown time management or how you have shown people management, how you have shown creativity. Don't just put that as a word. Of course, that's a hack. A lot of CV reviewers these days collect money from young people and put those things as a hack because it gets you through the ATS, right? ATS in this case is called the talent acquisition system, the automated talent screening system. Um, and it's a fallacy, in my opinion, is that
Right. Right. Right.
focus more on describing your experience implementing those skills versus just putting them as a keyword, right? I would take you more seriously when you do that.
That's very
And for
interesting.
folks who, yeah, for folks who don't have previous work experience, I always encourage young people to volunteer. So myself, I started working from my first year in uni, right? Because I know that when I graduate, I'm going to be required to show certain skills that I cannot show by my academic experience. So please, and please volunteer in a charity, go to a company as a student during your holidays and take a summer job, right? That would help you to be able to, anticipate those skills that are required and, also have experience. And if, unfortunately, during your academic time, you didn't do that, still find time to, find other opportunities. So a lot
Yeah.
of people volunteer in church, but they don't know how to
Yeah.
capture that on their CV,
Yeah. Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So those are opportunities, in
Yeah.
your CV. If you don't have work experience, put volunteer experience and capture your experience working in church,
Yeah.
leading a service in church or in the mosque, or I'm not sure if they do that, if there's
Yeah.
volunteer opportunities in mosque. I'm not a Muslim, but I imagine that there are, or even babysitting, or that shows some level of responsibility, right? So find opportunities to capture volunteer experience. That's a non-professional experiences, but you can find ways to put that in your CV and then use that opportunity to characterize the durable skills that you may
Yeah.
have used in those experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just a reminder to our viewers this morning. Now, the phone lines are open. You can definitely call us on 80812 to join the conversation. If there's anything you want to say, if you have a question for our guests, please call in, join the conversation. We would like to hear from you. Now, I'm very glad, that I'm sure some of our viewers listening to you this morning would actually appreciate, that little nugget you just dropped on how to actually construct your resume to, considering the ATS system and all of that. Now, volunteering, I'm glad you brought that up as well. But the voluntary market in Nigeria is also beginning to grow from what it was to what it is today. Very, very valuable insight you've given us. But nonetheless, are there any soft skills that are universally valuable regardless of one's industry? And how, I know you've spoken about how you can put this into your CV, in your description and all of that. But let's talk about the universally valuable soft skills. What are some of these skills?
Well, I'm going to maybe rephrase your question
Okay.
as five in-demand durable skills, right? The top five in-demand durable skills, and this is research from Inside Global.
All right.
The first is communication, right? Day to day, yes, I don't know any job that you don't have to communicate, whether it's written or verbal. You're writing emails, you're writing text messages, you're doing presentations, you have to know how to communicate, right? Then the next is project management. Is that even though there's now there's a technical side of project management, but in practice, everything you do at the work in the workplace is a form of project, right? Or ties into a project. So you
Yeah.
need to have a
Mm-hmm.
project mindset, right? The third is strategic thinking. Now, strategic thinking is broad, right? It actually brings a lot of things into it, such as analytical skills, ideation, um, uh, decision making,
Right.
right?
Right.
It brings all of that situational judgment. Strategic thinking is big, right? But it's also a skill that is in demand. Is that if I'm hiring a employee, I want to see how that employee can take a complex problem, break it down to a simple
And
problem, and show
then
me how to act fast on it, right? Then the next is teamwork. Like I mentioned earlier, there's no job where you don't have to work in a team. Whether it's to your direct reports or linearly to your colleagues
right.
or downward to managing people, you have to know how to work in a team. And finally, is problem solving. Every day you go to work, you want to ask yourself, what problem am I solving today? How can I contribute to my organization's current challenges by providing solutions to, those challenges, right? Those are the five most in demand uh,
Right.
should I say durable skills? Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now, talking more about still looking at career advancements, right? Some people, they're trying to, leave that technical side to, enter more management, but they just don't know how to go about it. Now, for those looking to strike the right balance between soft skills and hard skills, what are some strategies or resources that you would recommend to them that can actually enable them to do this?
You know, I hear, as a matter of fact, I think it's becoming increasingly prominent amongst young people today. And that's really good, is that a lot of young people are ambitious, right? And
Yeah.
I get a lot of young people messaging me, oh, boss, I need to know how to move up my career. I'm trying to come into tech. How do I do that? I always say start with where you are. A lot of times, what most people need is just a change of perspective, right? Versus just trying to start something afresh. The reality is that where you are currently at, most likely you're already doing what you desire to become, right? Because I put it this way, is that if you're not, the fact that you're feeling like this is where you want to go, there's a high likelihood that you're already behaving like that on your current role. So you want to become a techie, right? But you're currently an executive assistant. The likelihood is that you're already using technology to solve your EA problems every day. And if you're not doing that, then I don't think you should be looking to become a techie. Maybe you're just trying to catch on to a wave, right? Or trend, right? But most likely, if you're looking to become something, you're already doing that thing in where you are. So I always encourage people to start with where they are.
Right.
Your day-to-day provides the opportunity to do what you want to become tomorrow, right? So start with where you are.
Okay. So,
Then,
okay, sorry. Keep going.
yeah, then connect as much as possible. Find people who look like where you want to go, right? And indulge them, ask questions, raise your hand a lot. Like I said earlier, volunteer. There's nothing as valuable as being a fly on the wall. I remember when I was trying to switch fully into technology-based roles, I would always ask for them to just put me in a meeting, right? I won't say anything. I won't talk. I just want to see what you guys are doing. That helps a lot to learn, the skills that you need to be where you are going. I mean, that you need for where you're going to. So, like I said, just to reiterate, start with where you are, find people who look like where you're going to and indulge them. And then finally, get opportunities, look for opportunities, volunteer for opportunities to be in the
Yeah.
space that looks like where
All
you are
right.
going to.
Okay, I'm really glad you brought up, the environment of where the said career professional is. Sometimes, even in organizations, employees, they are trying to essentially write exams, upskill to move up, in the organization or move to a different job. So let's talk about the environment of the organization. Now, how can organizations create an environment that encourages employees to develop both their soft and hard skills? How How can organizations help?
Well, there are many ways that as a matter of fact, it's an organization's primary responsibility to develop their employees. Unfortunately, Nigeria, I've seen increasingly that a lot of organizations focus more on the bottom line and forget to develop the most valuable assets, right? Of course, maybe cash is their most valuable. So let me say their second most valuable asset, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, people focus on that one thing that's really important, which is making money, and they forget to develop the tools that would help them make money. So for me, I feel like a lot of organizations would prioritize
Right.
talent development because the reality is that if you don't have the right skill sets in your organization, even if you're making money today, you're not going to be able to keep that consistent. So I see an organization as a secular, closed cycle system. Do you understand? You need people to make money. You need money to develop people, right? So if you're making money, develop your people, right, to make more money. Yes, and you just keep that cycle going.
Actually.
Um, yeah.
I think that's an advice that businesses this morning listening to Tea or Coffee should actually take. And I'm glad that you've actually mentioned it's a cycle. I've never thought about it like that. It's actually
Yeah.
a cycle. You're pumping money back into the business to essentially develop the people that are working for you to make more money. Actually,
Yeah, don't eat the money. Don't eat the money. Put it into your people,
right,
So
exactly.
don't report wide margins. Reduce those margins and invest in your people.
Yeah.
It's not all about salary. Do you get? It's not about
Yeah,
salary.
I completely
A
agree with you.
simple is a simple mentorship. I'm seeing organizations doing something really creative now, which is a secondment. So they will send their employees to other organizations, which is very bold because a lot of people are afraid of poaching. But
Actually,
for me, yeah, I feel like if you have built a good level of trust in your employees, even if you send them somewhere, they will come back
yeah.
because they've gone that where this place is not as good as where I'm coming from because you have. In them. So you have to build that level of accountability and trust in your employees, and it starts with showing them that you care. And how do you show your employees that you care? It's not by paying their salaries. It is, I mean, of course, to a large extent by paying their salaries and on time
Yeah,
to
on
mention,
time.
right?
Yeah.
But it's also by showing them that you care for their future, right? You know, people say, I will spend this money to train this person. This person will now use this certification and go and get job somewhere else. Yes, it's a risk that you have to take, but it's also important for your organization to develop them. There are
All
many
right.
ways that you can find around it without breaking the
Okay.
law.
All right.
But
Ibukunoluwa
yeah.
Adebayo, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. I personally have actually learnt a lot from discussing on this topic with you. I'm sure the viewers, have also learnt a lot.